Mars is the fourth planet of the Copper solar system from the Sun in Old Turkish. It is named after Mars, the god of war in Roman mythology. It is also called the Red Planet because it has a reddish appearance due to the common iron oxide on its surface. A thin celestial Mars, it is a terrestrial planet with a face that includes meteor craters as on the Moon, volcanoes, valleys, zero and polar regions as on other Earth. Also, its rotation period and seasons are very similar to Earth's. It has two satellites. Mount Olympus, Olympus Mons, on Mars is the highest known mountain in the solar system, and the canyon called Marineris Valley, Valles Marineris, is the largest. The existence of a giant meteor crater located 10,600 kilometers long and 8,500 kilometers in the northern hemisphere of Mars, as described in 3 papers published in the journal Nature in June 2008. This crater is 4 times the size of the largest meteor crater ever discovered, Atkian Basin at the Moon's south pole. Excluding Earth, Mars is still considered the planet most likely to contain liquid water and life among the planets in the solar system. Radar data from the Mars Express and Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter research projects reveal the presence of water ice from large instruments, both at the poles and in the middle. On July 31, 2008, the robotic spacecraft Phoenix Mars lander managed to retrieve spaceships from water ice in shallow areas of the Martian sky. In breadth, Mars is home to 3 spaceships based on their orbits: Mars Odyssey, Mars Express, and Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. Except for Earth, Mars is not just any ordinary planet in the solar system. Its surface has hosted many spacecraft. What has emerged about the geological features obtained by these spacecraft has a wide variety of water in the class of Mars. Even during the last year, geyser, boiling, type water spurts or streams have occurred. The investigations carried out within the scope of NASA's Mars Global Surveyor project showed the south pole of Mars as clear of ice. Scientists have reported that saltwater currents form on Mars during the warmer months, as a result from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter satellite, which was placed on the planet Mars in 2006. Mars has 2 small, shaped moons, named Phobos and Deimos, discovered by astronomer Asaph Hall in 1877. Mars can be observed by being exposed from Earth. Its apparent magnitude reaches -2.9, which is against predators exposed, often brighter than Jupiter Mars, but Venus is a radiance that can be surpassed by the Moon and the Sun. Based on the assumption that life in the universe could emerge under conditions similar to those on Earth, the measure of planetary habitability, that is, the measure of life on a planet, seems to be closely related to the presence or absence of water on its surface. This depends on whether a planet in a solar system is at the appropriate distance from its Sun. The fact that the orbit of Mars is half an astronomical unit further from this suitable belt where Earth is located causes the water to freeze on the surface of this planet, which has a thin atmosphere. However, liquid water flows in the past of the planet reveal the potential for habitability of Mars. According to the data, the water on the Martian surface is much saltier and much more acidic than necessary for life. The lack of a magnetosphere of the planet and the fact that it has an extremely thin atmosphere is a major handicap. The heat transfer on its surface is not great, its defense against meteors and solar winds is almost non-existent, and the atmospheric pressure is insufficient to keep the water in liquid form, hence the water becomes gaseous. According to the data, the planet was more habitable in the past than it is today. Despite all these negativities, it cannot be said that there are no organisms on Mars or that they have never lived. As a matter of fact, some positive results were obtained in samples brought from Mars to detect microorganisms in Martian soil during the Viking program in the 1970s. However, these results led to a debate in which many scientists participated, and a definite conclusion could not be reached. On the other hand, Professors Gilbert Levin, Rafael Navarro-Gonzalez, and Ronalds Papa, using the data obtained with the Viking program, prepared a new taxonomic system, and in this system, the life species on Mars was discussed under the name Gillivinia strata. Experiments conducted by the Phoenix Mars lander in the following years showed that the Martian soil contains an alkali containing sodium, potassium, and chloride. This nutritious soil was well suited to supporting life, but there was one more problem to remember: life could be protected from intense ultraviolet rays. Finally, organic compounds were detected on the Martian ALH-84001 meteorite at the Johnson Space Center laboratory. According to the conclusion, these were the first life forms on Mars. On the other hand, spacecraft orbiting Mars have recently detected low amounts of methane and formaldehyde, which have been interpreted as signs suggesting the existence of life, because these chemical compounds dissolve rapidly in the Martian atmosphere. The most well-known of the formations that are claimed to be of biological origin on Mars are the formations known as dark dune spots. Discovered for the first time by the Mars Global Surveyor with photographs sent in 1998 to 1999, dark dune spots are formations that can be seen especially in the south polar region of Mars, between 60 to 80 degrees latitude, appearing on or under the ice sheet, the nature of which has not yet been understood. They appear in early Martian spring and disappear in early winter. It is good that these are photosynthetic colonies that remain under the ice sheet during the winter, that is, microorganisms that photosynthesize and heat their immediate surroundings. In addition, scientists are working on artificial photosynthesis in order to create an environment that can provide living conditions on Mars. On September 28, 2015, it was announced that there is liquid salt water on Mars. With the discovery of salty water, scientists have stated that the probability of finding life on Mars has also increased. Completed exploration projects. Change. The first success in completing its mission came from Mariner 4, which was sent by NASA in 1964. The first successful landings on the surface were made by Mars 2 and Mars 3, launched in 1971 as part of the USSR's Mars probe project, but communication with both vehicles was lost shortly after their landing. In the following years, NASA launched Project Viking, and in 1975 two satellites were launched, each carrying a lander. Both vehicles landed successfully in 1976. Viking 1 remained on the planet for 6 years, and Viking 2 for 3 years. They sent the first color photographs of Mars. Even today, the photographs they sent for the purpose of mapping the surface of the planet are referenced from time to time. In 1988, the Soviets sent probes Phobos 1 and Phobos 2 to Mars to study the planet and its natural moons. Phobos 2 was successful in sending photos, although contact with Phobos 1 was lost on its way to Mars. But Phobos 2 also failed just as it was about to unleash two landers on the surface of the natural satellite Phobos. After the failure of the Mars Observer satellite in 1992, the Mars Global Surveyor was launched by NASA in 1996. He was completely successful in his task. He completed his mapping mission in 2001. Lost contact with the probe during its third extended mission in November 2006, it remained operational for 10 years in space. 1 month after the launch of NASA Surveyor, Mars launched the Pathfinder. It was carrying the Sojourner, a robotic exploration vehicle. It landed in the Ares-Vallis region on Mars in the summer of 1997. This project also ended successfully. The last completed mission to Mars used the landing-capable Phoenix spacecraft, launched on August 4, 2007. The vehicle landed in the North Pole region of Mars on May 25, 2007. It was equipped with a microscopic camera, capable of digging 1 meter of Martian soil with its robotic arm extending to 2.5 meters. This microscopic camera was sensitive enough to distinguish as thin as 1/1000th of a human hair. He discovered water ice where he landed on June 15, 2008. He completed his assignment on November 10, 2008. With the Phobos Grunt project, a joint project of Russia and China, it was planned to collect samples from Mars moon Phobos and bring them back to Earth for analysis. However, this probe broke down after being launched on November 9, 2011, and was destroyed by falling to Earth on January 15, 2012. Astronomy observations on Mars. Change. Thanks to the presence of various satellite vehicles, landers, and probes on Mars, astronomy research can also be done from the Martian sky today. It has a lot of equipment. Phobos, one of Mars' natural moons, is naturally better observed than Mars. A third of the full moon is visible in angular diameter. The other natural satellite, Deimos, is visible in and around a more or less star of Mars. Compared to the appearances of Venus from Earth, it is slightly brighter than Venus. On the other hand, many well-known phenomena such as aurora and meteorites can now be observed on Earth, aimed at Mars. The transition from the Sun